I wonder if there are any other black guys who have experienced this. So I have a black mom. Bet you never guessed that. And this black mother of mine, love her to death. She has this very staunch perspective that if I pursue someone romantically who does not look like her, that I then devalue or don't find her attractive in a platonic, appropriate way. And for the life of me, I cannot understand this. We've gone back and forth, and no understanding has really come from the conversation. It's not.
Well, I'm gonna say this already. Off top, who you choose to date has very little to do. Well, I don't. Yeah, I'm gonna say like him saying he's open to dating outside of his race doesn't really have anything to do with his mom. He can be attracted to who he wants to be attracted to. That's pretty much what I'm saying. Like his attraction doesn't have to look or sound like his mother. It just doesn't. And and that's okay. That's really okay. And I think there's probably more to this conversation that he may get into, he may not. But if he don't, I'll tap into a little bit of it. But let him finish it out. In fact, I'm gonna start all the way over.
I wonder if there are any other black guys who have experienced this. So I have a black mom. Bet you never guessed that. And this black mother of mine, love her to death. She has this very staunch perspective that if I pursue someone romantically who does not look like her, that I then devalue or don't find her attractive in a platonic, appropriate way. And for the life of me, I cannot understand this. We've gone back and forth, and no understanding has really come from the conversation. It's not fruitful, not productive. So we kind of let it die off. At least I did. But after looking at things hindsight, I've kind of pieced together that I think it's because we're on completely different footing. She's looking at it from a secular perspective, in that as a black man, I should want to pour into other black women exclusively and marry, reproduce with black women in that sense. And me, I'm not saying I don't find identity in my melanin. There's definitely a commonality that I have when I see black people in the street, in the classroom, at work, whatever it is. But ultimately, for me, my footing is found in Christ. And so I'm going to pursue a woman who has an identity who's also based in Christ. If she happens to be a ginger, cool. If she happens to be Asian, cool. If she happens to be black, also cool. Again, I love my mother, but I'm standing firm on this. I think that her perspective is baloney. Love you, Mom, again. It makes no sense to me to cast that sense of altruistic obligation on a young man or woman. Pursue who you want to pursue.
Yeah, I agree with him. Hey, you don't have to agree with your mother. You don't have to date the way she say date. Now, I will say this. Um, Understanding that there's wisdom in listening to our parents. There's wisdom there. Um, yeah, our identity is in Christ. It sure enough is. Um, but there's also something to be said for how we show up in the world that we live in. I'm a follower of Christ, and that's number one for me. I also know I'm still a black man. You know, I also know where my attraction lies, and I, for me, I like black women. However, I have dated women outside of my race before, and my family was welcoming, um, but everybody don't have that. I've never dealt with my mom or my sisters saying like, we don't want you dating anyone outside of our race. I've never dealt with that. I think it's just important to understand the conversations and things that are going on in our world, and how, you need to be with someone that you're aligned with overall in your faith, in justice. Because a lot of times people are like, oh, we're both Christians. Yeah, that's cool. But you have some people who don't prioritize justice, who don't prioritize, taking care of people, seeing people who are oppressed or marginalized treated better, and having their rights, prioritized. And sometimes that can be a challenge in interracial relationships, and you just have to make sure that you and your partner, your spouse are on the same page about that and you prioritize it. But I'm with him. Like, you're a man now. You're a man. You get to decide who and what who you're attracted to in terms of what ethnicity. And, if that person is Asian, cool. Like you said, if she's a white girl, cool. If she's not black and there's a problem with that, that problem isn't your issue. You have to, like if your mom has an issue with it, that's something that you have to keep in mind in terms of family. Like, if your mom is adamant about you not being with someone outside of your race, like, what is that dynamic going to look like for your children if you want children? Like, these are things you have to consider. And they're not just your mom, but you have to make sure, because he didn't mention anything about his dad, so I don't know if he knows his dad, but you also have to remember the lady you'll be dating is going to have a family. Do they value, black men? Do they value black people? Do they understand justice? Do they understand, history to a point of being compassionate to a people group who've suffered a lot? And if these things can't be discussed or they haven't been discussed, with the climate that we're in, you're asking for problems. You're asking for it. I mean, I don't know him. He seems like he's someone that's like, well thought. He's able to express himself, and he has his faith in Christ. So ultimately, I think it comes down to him making up his mind of like, he meets somebody and he decides who he wants to date, and being prayerful and just being practical. Don't get too over spiritual, because when he said, I'm a Christian, my identity is in Christ, I connect with that 100%. We're Christians, our identity is in Christ, and we still exist in this world. And you're still a black man in this world. So that doesn't change that, and God knew you would be a black man in this world. And that's okay. You don't need to throw away your because race is made up, it's a social construct, but you don't need to throw away who you are just because you're a Christian. God doesn't tell you to do that. God designed it this way. So it's a lot to be said. And on a deeper level, I'd say this. You just have to be mindful of what you say, how you say it, because I don't know the relationship with him and his mother. You have to be mindful, and you have to understand that history tells a story, and it tells the story of why things are the way they are even today. And you don't just take history and throw it away just because you have a preference. It doesn't mean you ignore your preference either, but you don't take history and throw it away because you're like, well, my identity is in Christ, and I can end up with anybody. That's not wise. You have to consider how you have to move in life, and even when you're having children, like how you're going to navigate those different dynamics. All these things have to be considered. With all that being said, brother, if you want to date a white woman, date a white woman. You want to date a Hispanic woman, date a Hispanic woman. You want to date an Asian woman, date an Asian woman. Ultimately, it's on you as a man to lead your home, to know who you're choosing, and then to lead y'all as you follow Christ, and to protect your home and your environment in a way that whatever is going on in our society doesn't break up your home, doesn't bring confusion to your home, doesn't bring division in your home, doesn't tear your home apart. That's what you have to do. And if you're gonna date him, date him. And for me, it's like, as long as you're not dating someone else and then putting, other people down, hey, go for what you know, bro. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Connect with the brand online, www.there'shopebrand.com. If you have subscribed already, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch y'all in the next video.